Please take your seats, ladies and gentlemen. Our chief guest, recently, and as you're aware, when the ambassadors were holding a retreat in Uganda, the Uganda's ambassadors across the world, that the president singled out His Excellency Kibedi as one of the very few ambassadors who are doing a fantastic job. So I thought we would clap for Ambassador Kibedi. So some people said maybe the expo, the timing of the expo and the retreat was so close, it was easy for the president to single out the ambassador. But we want to celebrate this great relationship between our two countries, Uganda and the UAE. And we believe these relations will continue to grow, and that this forum, this business forum, will continue building on those building blocks of the expo and the good relations of Uganda and the United Arab Emirates. So may I now take the pleasure of inviting His Excellency the Ambassador of Uganda to the UAE, Zaake Kibedi, to come and make welcome remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause.
Thank you so much, the Master of Ceremonies. Though he hasn't introduced himself, I will try to introduce him. Maurice Mugisha is the Deputy Managing Director of Uganda Broadcasting Corporation. Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, First Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of East African Affairs. Your Excellency Sami Abdullah Jama Al-Kubaisi, Director General of Economic Affairs, Abu Dhabi Department of Economic Development, and your team. The Presidential Advisor, who is also the Managing Director of Elite Agro, His Excellency Dr. Abdulmen, the ministers in absence, they are about to join us. We are supposed to have Honorable Frank Tumwebaze, the Minister of Agriculture, and the Permanent Secretary and the team. They came in this morning. They will be joining us soon, just like the Minister of Lands and also the Minister of Works. You know, yesterday is when Uganda celebrated its 60th independence anniversary. So most of the participants first attended the official function back home and traveled that night. So that's why they'll be joining us later. And also we have representatives from the office of the Vice President of Uganda. We have executive directors, managing directors and CEOs of various government institutions. I'll just name the institutions since I'll be introducing you at a later stage. We have representation of Uganda Industrial Research Institute. We have representation of Uganda Export Promotions Board. The Executive Director is here, Dr. Eli. We have representation of Uganda National Oil Company, Mr. Gilbert. We have representation of Uganda Registration Services Bureau. We have representation of Uganda Revenue Authority, the Tax Authority. We have representation of Uganda Free Zones Authority. And we have representation of the Private Sector Foundation. But also before us, we have representatives of executive directors and CEOs of business companies. Especially, we invited those that are already either doing business in Uganda or in the last stages of investing in Uganda. I talked about Dr. Abdomen. Dr. Abdomen, they are planning to start by investing in tea production, tea processing, and also they have, he will talk about it, I don't want to preempt his speech, but also I've seen the CEO of One Mobility Group, which is known global as One Mobility Group, but here in Abu Dhabi it's known as Emirates National Group. Mr. Ahmed is here and his team. I don't know whether the CEO of Ruru Group is also here. They're in the last stages of setting up a logistics center in Uganda, just like others. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, allow me also to introduce my colleagues that I'm working with at the Uganda Embassy in Abu Dhabi and the Uganda Consulate in Dubai. I will start with the Consul General of the Consulate in Dubai, Ambassador Hon Rebecca. Then the colleagues from the embassy, we have the Second Secretary, Mr. Daniel Wadada. Also, we have another Second Secretary, Ms. Ashana Banja. Third Secretary, Mr. Michel Kategaya. And the other colleagues are outside. And among the institutions from Uganda and corporations, we have the chairman and the CEO of Uganda National Construction and the Housing and Construction Corporation. On behalf of the Embassy of the Republic of Uganda to the United Arab Emirates and on my own behalf, I wish to welcome you all to the first Uganda UAE Business Forum. Please allow me to take the opportunity to commend the Abu Dhabi Department of Economic Development for the unwavering support extended to us in planning, preparations, and hosting this forum. Your Excellency, we are so grateful your team has been so supportive. Under the mandate of promoting commercial and economic diplomacy, the Embassy of Uganda to the United Arab Emirates, together with the Consulate, in collaboration with the Abu Dhabi Department for Economic Development, have organized this forum aimed at increasing investment, trade, tourism, and technology transfer between Uganda and the United Arab Emirates, as well as enhancing business partnerships. Premised today's engagements and discussions are basically about business. And since we have the authorities and experts with us to facilitate the discussions, my role will be limited to 3 things for today. Just to take you through the program and also introduce the chief guest and the guest, the Director General of Abu Dhabi, who is in charge of the Economic Department, Abu Dhabi Department for Economic Development, and also the institutions that are present. But before I do that, I would just want to tell you that in the last 3 years, I think they are 4 now, from 2018 to now, 2022, we've seen increase in foreign direct investment from the UAE to Uganda. In 2018, the foreign direct investments were about $300 million US. Before Expo, it had grown close to $1 billion US, and after the Expo, it is approximately $3 billion US. And the exports from Uganda to UAE before 2018, it was about $600 million US, but now it has grown to close to $2 billion US. United Arab Emirates has become the leading market destination for Ugandan exports in the Gulf countries and also number 5 world over. So it is a very important destination for Uganda exports. And if we close the gaps Like, for example, we had a direct flight from Abu Dhabi to Uganda by Etihad. It ran for 2 years and stopped in 2018, but the discussions have started to have it revived. Otherwise, between Uganda and the United Arab Emirates, we have 5 daily direct flights. Emirates, Uganda Airlines, Fly Dubai does 2 trips a day, morning and evening. Then from Sharjah, Air Arabia, and dear participants, for your information, last month Air Arabia was also cleared by the authorities of Abu Dhabi to start a direct flight between Abu Dhabi and Entebbe. Having said that, I wish to take this opportunity, Excellency, to appreciate and thank the government of the United Arab Emirates and the people for the great hospitality, because Ugandans are among the over 200 nationalities that are enjoying and benefiting from the warm welcoming and the great hospitality of the people of United Arab Emirates. In 2009, we had less than 1,000 Ugandans living and working here, but as we talk today, the number has grown to approximately 100,000. So we thank you, and it's the reason the remittances have increased. Before 2018, the remittances were less than 50 million US dollars, but it has now grown to 200 million US dollars. So they are employed in various forms of jobs, and some of them are here. I've seen one of them is Masebu, who is there, the chairman of the Uganda community in Abu Dhabi. He's a journalist working with Courage Times, amongst others. I don't know if there is any other ways here, but they were here last night for our celebration. We hosted the diplomatic reception in celebration of our 60th independence anniversary. So the theme for today's business forum is Uganda, the best time is now. And this forum is focused on 4 sectors. We are focusing on agriculture. Maybe to justify that, why I say that Uganda, the best time is now, it is because when you come to Uganda, like Right Honorable, the Deputy Prime Minister mentioned to His Excellency, that you come at the center of Africa because we are strategically located. The distance it takes you to fly from Uganda to the north, it is 3 or 3.5 hours. It's the same time it takes you to fly to the south, South Africa. So it is the center, and even before you start looking around, the population of Uganda has been increasing very fast. I was asking my brother, Dr. Abdulmain, some time back that when you united in 1971, how many were you Emiratis? And though he hasn't given me the answer, but I think you were less than 300,000 at that time. Now you are approximately 1 million. And in Uganda, when we got our independence in 1962, we were about 6 million. Now we've grown to 45 million. So, but also we are members of the East African community, and the Right Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of Uganda, who is here with us today, is also the Minister of East African Community Affairs. We are members, and this enhances our population. She'll talk about the number, but I think it's approximately 160 million people. Uganda, we are also members of the Common Market for Southern and East African countries, COMESA. This brings together countries, about 17 of them. And once you do business in Uganda, you also benefit from the agreement which was signed, I think 3 years ago, before COVID, on doing freedom business in Africa. It is after Africa Free Trade Area. So we are also benefiting from the agreement Uganda has with the United States, AGOA, So you can export your products without any taxes to the United States. And we also have an agreement with the European Union, which is known as everything else apart from arms. So once you produce from Uganda, you can export to this area. So our focus today, basically, for this forum, we've chosen up 4 priority areas which are underlined under our National Development Plan 3, agriculture. And in agriculture, we are specifically looking at commercial agriculture and agro-processing. I'm happy that Dr. Abdomen, who is investing already in this area, but is also a presidential advisor on this sector development, will be making a presentation. We are focusing on infrastructure, specifically roads, rails, water transport, inland ports, real estate and construction. We are focusing on energy, specifically minerals, oil and gas, and trade, tourism. The program, after the opening session, we shall have a plenary session on investment and business opportunities in Uganda. But also, we requested the Department of Economic Development, Abu Dhabi, to make a presentation before one of the panel discussions about what they think we can do better to enhance on our business relations. Because already the bilateral relations are strong and are growing from strength to strength. It's the reason we've had so many exchange visits, high-level visits between UAE and Uganda. For example, since 2017, His Excellency, the head of state, the President of Uganda, has been here 3 times. And after the openings, after the first session on investment opportunity, we shall have, after the coffee break, we shall have 3 panel discussions. One on doing business in Uganda. The institutions that facilitate this are here, well represented. And then we shall have another panel discussion on facilitating growth of business partnerships and investments between the UAE, Abu Dhabi in particular, and Uganda for mutual benefits. And the other panel discussion will be on enhancing business resiliency. However, after the first 2 panel discussions, there will be parallel sessions running at the same time for 40 minutes in the focus areas. Since we are having the authorities here, they will go into detailed discussions, sector by sector. And after these parallel sessions, that's when we shall come for the 3rd panel discussion before getting 2 last presentations, brief presentations. By the one will be about the overview of Free Zone Areas program in Uganda, and another about the role of Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development in facilitating industrial development and priority sector investments. And then conclude with a plenary where we shall give the participants an opportunity to engage with the presenters through questions and answers. Before I invite the Director General, allow me to first once again, for purposes of emphasis, some others came in late when I was introducing the institutions. Allow me to once again ask Dr. Eli Trinoyo to stand up for recognition. He's the Executive Director of Uganda Export Promotions Board, but was also the Commissioner General for Uganda's participation at Dubai Expo 2020. So he's here with us, and also to follow up on the outcomes of the Expo. Mr. Gilbert, please stand up again, Chief Commercial Officer of Uganda National Oil Company. I don't know if Mr. Sandy is yet here from Uganda. He's there. is the Director of Planning, Research and Market Development from Insurance Regulatory Authority. We have Professor Charles Kwesiga, Executive Director of Uganda Industrial Research Institute. I don't know whether the representatives of the Uganda Registration Services Bureau are here yet. Then Mr. Hayes Alinda from Uganda Free Zones Authority. And then Uganda Private Sector Foundation. Grace, are you here? They are here. And Angela is from the Chamber of Mines and Petroleum. In a special way, before I introduce our guest speaker, in a special way, I wish to express our sincere gratitude to the event sponsors, One Mobility Group, General Petroleum, Global Gases, Amia Power, MCD Trading, Guru Group, and Commodity Ventures. Now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to take this very special opportunity to introduce His Excellency Sami Al-Baisi. He's the Director General of Economic Affairs at the Abu Dhabi Department of Economic Development. In this role, His Excellency Al-Baisi leads the teams responsible for developing Abu Dhabi's economic strategy. More specifically, he oversees small, medium enterprises policy making, logistics, trade facilitation, the competitiveness of Abu Dhabi, and the Industrial Bureau, and of course Abu Dhabi residents, I think including myself. So now I know where to go. And before taking on his responsibility at the Abu Dhabi Development Economic Department, His Excellency Al-Baisi was the Executive Director of Business Enterprise at the Abu Dhabi Investment Office, where he was primarily responsible for investment and public partnerships. He played a key role in scaling up Abu Dhabi Investment Office coverage, capabilities, and offerings. I think he's the best person that he is here today to discuss how we should strengthen the bilateral, the economic and commercial relations between Abu Dhabi and Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite His Excellency Sami Abdullah Jamal Al-Baisi to make his opening remarks. Your Excellency, tafadhali.
Excellency Rebecca, Deputy Prime Minister of Uganda, Mr. Zaake, Uganda Ambassador to UAE, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure and good morning to all of you, and I don't want to reinstate what His Excellency Zaake Kibedi mentioned about the strong ties, but zooming down to the increased trade between both countries. Ugandan bilateral trade witnessed a significant increase in the past and reached to 3.8 billion in 2021. That's a big jump in previous years, as Mr. Zaake has stated. There has been several key agreements, again, that Mr. Zaake have mentioned, have been signed between the two sides to set the stage for a closer economic cooperation and ties. I'd like to take the opportunity today to show you why Abu Dhabi is the ideal gateway for business in Uganda to invest, grow, and access the regional and global markets. From an economic standpoint, Abu Dhabi today is the biggest contributor to the GDP of the UAE, reaching up to 55%. Out of that 55%, about 50% of that is from non-oil. This is a big jump because we are a country dependent on resources. And the plan is to increase that growth in the non-oil sectors. manufacturing being the leading sector as of today by 18%. So the plan is that we're going to be investing more to encourage FDI, to encourage a lot of investments, and to encourage the SMEs and the trade and logistics to expand manufacturing, not to only be a net importer, to become a net exporter. So the plans are very clear to us, the roadmap is very clear to us from that angle. In terms of ease in doing business, Abu Dhabi have climbed from the 16 number to number 9 globally, which is also a big statement on how are we business friendly, but not only about friendliness and relationship, it's on the ground how we execute and make your life easy to open a business and to also to exit a business. Another part of it is we looked at the Department of Economic Development, the whole investor journey. How do we make the investor secure and facilitated from an attraction point of view, facilitation and retention. And we've invested heavily in creating what we call the investor journey. What it entails is that the investor journey today have reduced the requirement to open or renew a license by 71%. So from 26,000 requirements to open any activities across the different licenses, we reduced that by 71% to 6,000, above 6,000 requirements only. We've also reduced the cost of setting up a business by 91% to 1,000 dirham. In Abu Dhabi today, you will get a license, renew a license, and it's only 1,000 dirham. Not only that we did that, we also made the whole experience digital. So exploring where you want to open your business, navigating what business that you want to open, the legal form of the business, the activities you want to do, all the way to finding your property finder, finding the place you want to invest, and to also get your visas and the Munsha card and everything else doing the whole journey is done for you. So business plan, execution, people. Everything is at your fingertips with a click of a button. More importantly as well, it's not only about opening a business, it's also to ensure that you are scalable. As His Excellency Zaake mentioned, we are a small population. We are in total, for all of the UAE, around 8 to 9 million. Abu Dhabi alone is around 2 million. So, end of the day, any business want to make sure that they want to expand that scale. So, the plan was, okay, we need to build hubs, and Abu Dhabi is a hub. Let's connect to Africa, let's connect to the West, let's connect to the Americas, and being 80% of any country is within our 80% reach. Between 80% of the countries are within 8-hour reach from Abu Dhabi. So that makes us a very unique gateway for a lot of countries and for you to access and trade. So from that end, we started signing virtual corridors agreement, and now we are embarking. We just signed with India the CEPA, the Comprehensive Economic Agreement, and we signed with Israel. We have signed with Indonesia. We're also signing now in the process with Turkey. So there's a lot of other international impactful countries we're signing up with. What does that mean for you? Easier for you to export, easier for you to do business with those countries because of these agreements are in place. We have also launched the Abu Dhabi Industrial Strategy. It's an 10 billion program in dirham, and it will basically double the manufacturing sector by 2031. So what that means is today the manufacturing sector is at 18%, what I mentioned of the GDP contribution of Abu Dhabi, and by 2031 that jump will be around 9.9%. Excellent. That's a big jump in 10 years. And the program entails obviously two parts. One is subsidies for land, electricity, tariffs, bottom line. But the other part, and the biggest part, is most sustainable, is developmental. So 4.0, circular economy, improvement of efficiency, impact, talent, workforce planning, workforce development. And all those together measures are going to, hopefully, inshallah, increase that growth. The plan is by 2031, we're going to employ 13,600 skilled workforce. Skilled. And on top of that, Abu Dhabi has expertise in developing world-class infrastructure, which we could leverage and work closely with our partners from Uganda in order to expand that and to 71 start AD plug and play, Khalifa Innovators, some of the names we have today that are prominent, and we have a growing number of those incubators growing. Something that I would like to allude to, we have a few companies that have listed in NASDAQ that actually originated from those incubators. So Anghami, one of the biggest tech, is the equivalent of Diesel or Spotify, is now listed in a SPAC in NASDAQ. So, and we're having a strong pipeline of those companies that are going to be listed, whether here locally or regionally or globally. In terms of talent and livability, our focus was obviously on attracting growing businesses, but what we always forgot is we talk about business, but we forgot the human being. So from that end, we've created the Abu Dhabi resident office because the most important part is the people within that organization. And any businessman who will come and invest here wants to have the best quality and talented people to work for them. So the resident office today's main mandate is to also attract talent, facilitate their journey into Abu Dhabi, socially, school-wise, and also from a job side, and also to retain talent. So we're always going to look at policy. We have a very improved talent or a diversified economy where Mr. Zaake mentioned we have 200 nationalities. But the question is, we already have something that's great. How can we improve it, and how can we also make it more sustainable? So the plan is that we always have to look at policies, to change policies, to adapt what's happening globally. And Abu Dhabi Resident Office is exactly what was created to do that, is to always listen to our residents, take their comments on how to improve our value proposition. And hence we created the Resident Majlis that has both government and residents from Abu Dhabi from the various sectors to discuss top-down initiatives and improvement issues. So I would like to conclude by reiterating the Abu Dhabi government commitment to enhancing the ease of doing business, facilitating market access and public-private partnerships, and creating a world-class environment where businesses, investors, and talent from Uganda can thrive. Thank you, and please do not hesitate to approach me or my colleagues from the Department of Economic Development in case you have any questions. Thank you.
Before I invite our keynote speaker, allow me to introduce her. Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga Alitwala is the first Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Uganda and Minister of East African Community Affairs. Before taking on this new assignment, Right Honorable was Speaker of Parliament of the Republic of Uganda for 10 years, before which she was Deputy Speaker at the same institution for 10 years. She's a lawyer by training with a master's degree in women's law. Right Honorable, allow me to take the honor and pleasure to invite you to make your keynote address.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Ambassador Zaake, the Director General, Economic Affairs, Mr. Al-Baisi, the Special Advisors who are present, members of the Uganda Cabinet, the business community, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here this morning, especially as we start the 61 years of our existence. It was only yesterday that we celebrated our Platinum Jubilee. I congratulate the Ugandans, I congratulate all the people who have worked with us. In particular, I'm delighted that I'm here to celebrate the relationship that we have enjoyed over some years, but more importantly, to celebrate the vision of Sheikh Zayed and his co-founders of the UAE on the vision and the transformation of this great community. We are proud of the bilateral relations that have existed between our two countries for some time. It's exemplified by the opening of the missions in both countries, and we are delighted that after the Expo, a lot has been happening and we hope to build on that for the future. You have been informed about the volumes of trade between our two countries. I just wanted to add that before the COVID pandemic, there used to be 3 Emirates flights a day to Dubai and consequently to the UAE and other Emirates. That worked out at about 1,000 Ugandans, 1,000 travelers coming into the UAE via Entebbe, either to trade or to transit. But each of these was spending money here. During the transit time, you attempted to spend a lot of money. So all those were spending money in this country. Of course, the pandemic had an effect, but I'm looking forward to seeing the volumes return to the pre-COVID time and to grow even better. We're excited that more airlines have taken the skies of Uganda, and I look forward to seeing Etihad Air return to Uganda. I was hoping to formally invite Mr. Kibedi to Uganda. He has been to other parts of Africa. He hasn't been to Uganda. But I was telling him that you have not been to Africa and you have been to Uganda. So I now want to invite him and to invite the friends who have not been there. There's so much that you have not seen and which you should not die before coming to Uganda. So I want to just interest you in a few things. Among the things we are proud of is our tourism. We have both cultural and religious tourism. We're a country which was built on kingdoms, each unique in its own way. So each kingly community has its own history, its own culture, its own traditions. This is something you need to come and see. We are also a secular state, but we have a thriving religious tourism. And I want you to note particular dates on that calendar. The 29th of October is the day to celebrate the sacrifice of the Bishop Hannington, the first Bishop of Equatorial East Africa, who was killed for bringing religion to Africa. 29th of October, you could mark that if you're able to come. The 16th of February is another day when one of the archbishops of Uganda was killed again for speaking out on behalf of the people. You could come to Uganda for that. There is June 3rd, which is a very, very international day of the Uganda martyrs. We have over 25 martyrs who were sacrificed because of their faith. These are Christians, these are Muslims, they are Catholics. So all these are important days that I want you to note and see if you're able to come. As I said, we have our structures are based on our clans and our kingdoms. So our great tribes have a lot of cultural tourism, traditional tourism. Our kingdom of Uganda, with their rich history, the kingdom of Busoga, the kingdom of Bunyoro. I don't know whether people here are aware that our great ancestor, the Mukama Kadaga, actually had built tunnels. He had tunnels in the ground where he used to move his troops when he was resisting the British. All these are things that he was able to do without too much education, but just vision and focus. So there are many things that we invite you to come and experience in Uganda. We have made some progress in the 60 years. We are now manufacturing cars, electric cars, by the way. So that's one area of investment that you can consider taking an interest in. We shall require charging stations throughout the country. So, and many of the raw materials we need are actually in the country. So you can help us to develop those raw materials for our electric cars and that other industry. We have a lot of minerals in Uganda. It's an area not well developed. We would invite you to take an interest in the mineral sector. I hope that we shall have people here to speak to that issue so that you can also help us develop. I was happy to hear from Mr. Kibedi about the plans to improve the business environment in the UAE, he has talked about shortening time for registration of businesses. I think that's an area where you can learn from, shortening the processes. He has talked about that. I think it's another area we can borrow from them. But I was interested in what he said we are going to need some 20,000 skilled workers. I would like to request the special advisor to give us those areas which you want that skilled workforce. We have a highly educated community in Uganda. We have more than 30 universities and technical institutions. So we are able to produce fit for market. So we would be happy to hear what kind of areas we want to focus on so that we can tailor to that market and produce those skilled Ugandans to come here and benefit from your proposals. Now, I'm aware that during the month between August and October, it's extremely hot in this country. You know, the temperature of Uganda is very temperate, 25 degrees, 26 degrees. When it is 29, we feel it. But of course, here it is 29, it's acceptable. So we want to interest you in something we are developing. That's a tourist village, which will be in the Windy National Park. The Windy Penetrable Forest is where we have mountain gorillas, we have the climbing lions, we have all kinds of animals that you'll be able to enjoy and to see. So you'll be able to enjoy the tourism, but also enjoy the good weather. It's an area we want to interest you in. We're also considering setting up a health hotel in the Sabulike National Park around the hot springs, so that you're able to benefit from the natural hot springs of Uganda as you rest and as you recuperate. So the doors are open. I want to just say we're here to listen. We're here to answer questions. We shall be able to respond to anything that you want to hear. But for now, I want to take this opportunity to welcome you and to declare this meeting duly open. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can give the Right Honorable another round of applause for officially opening this Uganda UAE Business Forum. We thank you so much for officially joining us. And I wanted also, as she was speaking, to recognize the presence of our Minister for Agriculture and for Industry, the Honorable Frank Mwebase, who joined us. I will be inviting you shortly to make your pitch on why Uganda is ready for investment. We are now going to transition into the investment opportunities in Uganda, priority sectors. We will be speaking to agriculture, transport and logistics, the real estate industry, trade and tourism, oil and gas, and of course the insurance industry that has been spoken to. I am extremely happy that the Right Honourable spoke about tourism. And for those who will find some time to speak to her, her estate or her home or her area of birth is home to Africa's biggest lake, Lake Victoria. The source of the Nile is literally probably in her compound, maybe, or you should have said that, Right Honourable, that the source of the Nile is a walking distance from home. I was fortunate to have been born in that beautiful place, and Uganda is truly blessed in the power of Africa. I now want to take the pleasure, before maybe I invite the Minister, I also want to recognize the presence of the Permanent Secretary. I have just seen you, sir, in the Ministry of Agriculture. Thank you, Afande, for joining us this morning. And I'm sure the conversations we shall have through today and tomorrow will involve our Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture. So to speak to us about why Uganda is ready for you and ready for investment, especially in the agriculture sector, I want to invite the Honorable Minister, the Honorable Frank Tumwebaze, to come and pitch to our partners in the UAE here why they should come and invest in agriculture. As he comes, a lot of people have said it, you know, Uganda is so fertile that it doesn't matter where you are, you just need to plant a seed and it will germinate with the perfect environment. So you're welcome, sir. Please come and speak to us. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for the Honorable Minister.
Our Chief Guest, the Right Honorable First Deputy Prime Minister, distinguished guests in Abu Dhabi, our Ambassador, Excellency Kibedi and your team, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I want to thank you, Ambassador Kibedi and your team, for organizing this and for being very innovative and for perfectly creating opportunities for our country. People of agriculture do not know how to talk, they know how to dig, and I want to thank people of Arab Emirates for doing the unexpected. We were able to visit our friend's farm. You lived true to the core our president normally tells us that you should be able to exercise power over nature. So for you here, you've been able to exercise power over nature. You are able to do farming despite the unfavorable conditions. So like the right Honorable Prime Minister told you, our weather is very friendly throughout the year. Now, it's not only friendly for tourism, it is friendly for agriculture. Uganda is the only place where you can do farming organically and expand horizontally. What do I mean by horizontal expansion? Tilling more land. We still have more virgin land to open up. Out of the land God gave us, the arable land we have, we've not covered much of it. 35% is only under effective cultivation. 35%. So that means you still have 65% of virgin land not yet fully utilized. The big part of the northern part of the country, the northeast, the Midwest, land is virgin. And our soils have supported the region's food requirements for a long time, even without much fertilizer-fed agriculture. So that tells you, with that organic potential of our soils, a little application of fertilizer, which is also another area of investment we are inviting people to explore, the potential of agricultural production on a sustainable commercial basis for Uganda is a good case for you to explore. Currently, government has a strategy to link both smallholder farmers and large-scale commercial farmers for the purposes of ensuring that whatever enterprise you farm in, you are able to aggregate products both from the smallholder and the large-scale commercial farmer to be able to meet the market requirements. Because the big number of farmers are smallholder, that's why for some time, people with the big chunks of land, they've not been paying attention to agriculture. For a long time, it's an activity left to the smallholder. And as you know, smallholder farmers do so for basic livelihood, for survival, for food. But now, with the increasing regional and international demand for food, people with big chunks of land are realizing that the untapped potential. Our strategy is to promote the whole value chain. You can grow, you can harvest, you can primarily process on the farm, you can even do value addition, if not up to secondary and tertiary level on your farm, because we have electricity in many parts of the country. So value addition can be done on farm. You can have cottage industries. They are already farmers doing so. You could enter into partnerships with them. And with markets like the UAE and many other countries that are willing to take on our products because they enjoy the organic status, I'm sure you can be able to farm profitably. The cost of production definitely is much lower than many other countries. Labor is not expensive. And if you come as a large-scale commercial farmer, Ministry of Agriculture already has a partnership with large-scale commercial farmers who will help you with bush clearing. Because an individual farmer may not necessarily own the heavy earth-moving equipment, the bulldozer, will come through one of our mechanization centers, depending on where your farm is located. We'll be able to come and bush clear for you, and then you can do the opening with your tractor. A tractor can be farmer-owned, or a cooperative can own a tractor. But the other big earth-moving bush clearing equipment, those remain in the government-owned mechanization centers. So there is a clear framework of government interventions to boost large-scale commercial production. And related to that, there is animal feed security. There is no food security, excellencies and distinguished guests, without animal feed security. What you feed your animal is what you get from it. Good milk, in terms of the nutritious content, will demand good feeding of the same animal. Same applies to beef. If you are stressing your cows and harassing them and walking long distances looking for water, don't expect to get good beef and don't expect to have a good demand for your beef. So there's great potential for setting up feedlots and therefore producing good beef. Our indigenous cows, both the Akore cows and the Zebu cows, have the best low fat or low cholesterol meat. So it is another area you can look at. We are currently struggling to reduce the import bill for animal feeds, especially the animals in the poultry sector and piggery. Any investor who can come and you set up a factory for concentrates, for example, you'll be able to cut off a huge of imports from Holland. Currently, we import concentrates for poultry from Holland. Yet the raw materials to do all of that, we have. So that's another area we can work on. I think East Africa, annually, almost $5 billion of fertilizer is what the whole of East Africa imports. So you can invest in fertilizer, you can invest in animal feed, and you can also undertake large-scale fish farming. We are currently trying to advise our smallholder farmers. The Right Honorable Prime Minister is the one leading that effort to leave the ecosystems that are fragile. So we are encouraging our people to go to the highlands so that we protect the environment. But those same lowlands they are trying to free can be used for aquaculture. So large-scale aquaculture parks can also help us to produce fish and reduce pressure on the lakes, because the big amount of the fish we eat is through wild capture. Now, wild capture is unsustainable because we shall deplete the reserves. So as an alternative, government is aggressively promoting fish farming as opposed to fish hunting. And on that note, I want to welcome you to Uganda and to assure you that if you come for farming, you will not only farm to eat, you will farm to earn. And you will earn and you will become rich, in addition to enjoying the good weather and the great attractions my boss, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, already explored and exposed you to. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Honorable Frank. I need to mention that part of these successes of the Dubai Expo 2020 was the several MOUs signed, and especially the MOUs in the agriculture space. We did witness, I think, the first investors to join us after the Expo, during the Expo, in fact in the first month of October, was the UAE investors who were interested in tea growing. And I know that there was a team that came as early as late October, a few weeks after the opening, official opening. And I really want to appreciate His Excellency the Ambassador, because that is what they call being effective in leadership. So thank you, Your Excellency, and the Commissioner General of the Expo for driving that conversation, especially in agriculture. But we're not here just to talk about agriculture, so allow me quickly move to real estate and construction. And I'll invite the CEO of the National Housing and Construction Company, Engineer Kenneth K. Juka, to come and make his presentation. Engineer, the minister set the standard, please come. It is just 5 minutes, the standard, so you can't use more than the minister's time.
Our hosts in the United Arab Emirates and then Ugandan delegates who are here with us today. I want to appreciate His Excellency the Ambassador for this opportunity, which I must mention myself and my chairman. Allow me to introduce the chairman of the board, Honorable Wanjusi Wasieba, that we've been here for a week, together with the Minister of Finance, Honorable Matia Kasaija. We've already made the deals I want to mention. It's been such a great opportunity that His Excellency and the team at the embassy have been able to connect us to a number of interested business partners. So today I'm here to raise the flag for those of you who are still outstanding in the real estate space and construction. Uganda, with respect to real estate, is at its infancy. When you are in the UAE and you're talking about real estate and you're coming from Uganda, suddenly you need to come to learn. But what is important is that back home, real estate, we are at pre-development stage. We've not started. And so these are the opportunities that I want to raise through my presentation this morning. As National Housing, we have the mandate to undertake or join partnerships, joint ventures, and development partnerships in the commercial housing space. And as we talk about the commercial housing space, we're talking about whether they are shops, they are arcades, they are office properties, and we are such a vehicle that you can partner with to deliver that real estate. As National Housing, we are more known in the residential space. As a matter of fact, any to organized spaces in Kampala, the capital city, whether Bugolobi, Korolo, Wantinda, those of you who have been in Kampala, and the Boma Browns countryside have been a handwork of National Housing. And so we are such a vehicle for 59 years. While Uganda celebrates 60 years, we've been sustainable for 59 years. And therefore, when you partner with us in development of this real estate, you can be guaranteed that for the future, you'll return your investment in the residential space. We are also mandated to partner with you in the delivery of the industry of real estate. And amazingly, Your Excellency, Right Honorable Speaker, and others, real estate is the real business because it is permanent, immovable development on land. And why I mentioned that Uganda we are still at the pre-development is that we are still seeing real estate movable. We compensate, we demolish, it's not yet sustainable. So as we begin to think about the real estate, which is permanent and immovable, then we need to attract investments from the developed partners so that that development that you see when you step out of this building, you'll not wish it away. It is the only center of absorption of the rest of the investments. Whether it's water to be consumed in this building, whether it's power to be consumed in this building, whether it's roads, they will connect to the real estate. So that's how central this real estate is. And Uganda being at just its infancy is that one area that is extremely very green that I want to interest you. We are also mandated as National Housing to deal with the institutional real estate. Those of you interested in building with us the prisons, the barracks, and schools and student accommodation, we invite you to partner with us in doing that. the real opportunities which are informed by the demand and supply. And allow me to mention a few of these statistics that are right spread out on the screen. That Uganda, indeed, we have 45 million people. And for simple arithmetic, if you divide 45 by the average household of 5, you need 9 million housing units. And like I've mentioned, when you go countryside, you will not find housing that qualifies to be permanent, immovable, and therefore sustainable. However, according to our UBO statistics, you have about 2 million housing units that are permanent. Now take note, the permanent in Kororo, the permanent in Bugorobi are bungalows. They are also moving. So even that figure, which is 2 million housing units, honestly may not truly exist. And therefore the deficit is in about 7 million housing units. Those of you interested in real estate, this is where the opportunity is. We have a population growth of 3.4%. In 45 million, you're talking of about 1.5 million Ugandans born every year, and exponentially growing, because by 2050, we are now 45, by 2050 will be about 100 million. So that means that the 1.5, 1.6, 1.8 growing. And that's an opportunity that presents itself in the real estate space. And therefore, we need an annual average housing household of about 300,000 units. The current development, which creates the opportunities, that we are developing about 100,000 units, all developers together within the urban establishment mainly. And so therefore, if you look at the 300 you need on an annual exponentially growing, and you want to bridge the deficit that already exists, we're talking about 500,000 units running. And that is a great opportunity for you as an investor to pitch camp in our country. This slide, you can take photos. It also speaks from the permanent housing units at the national scale. And if we lower the deficit to 7 million, you're talking about 150 billion US dollars investment in that space. If you lower the scale, that we want to have housing that's about 25 years plus, then you're talking about 90 billion US dollars. If you lower the scale for the massive housing that we see temporary, grass-thatched little houses, which are in 10 years plus, as with reference to the rice part, you're talking about 45 billion US dollars. But if you look at the urban deficit, Kampala alone as a capital city, it requires over 300,000 units, and the 9 billion US dollars that we can partner and invest into that space. Now when you aggregate the other cities and municipalities, we have 15 cities that have been created where we need to move and reorganize the real estate. You're talking about 15 billion US dollars. But we have an area that I will point out to you shortly, the slum redevelopment, where our urban establishments have grown horizontally with those shanty to poor housing, and therefore we condemn them slums, and we need to redevelop these spaces, and I'll show you how much land that can attract investment in that area. Next. This project is ready to sign off with national housing. And I want to mention myself as the CEO, the chairman is here, the Minister of Lands, Housing and Urban Development will be here, the Minister of Finance has been here, the Right Honorable Prime Minister is here. If we get credible partners in this project called the Buchanan Satellite City, if you go to the next slide, you'll see the opportunities. This is land, green virgin land, 320 acres, available under title and ownership of national housing. We think we shall invest about 8,000 to 10,000 housing units, and now this is the residential space. But as you notice, we've designed the commercial, the industrial, the bus terminals, recreational facilities, and others. And we think within the 10 years, that housing infrastructure should be absorbed if we do the right housing. Right in the scale of the large, low, medium to high. Slightly, if you can go back kindly, because this will be a template for others. And we think that the product mix between 1 to 4 bedrooms, of course the commercial and social infrastructure is very prime location. And we think the investment budget is about $500 million. Those of you interested in setting up the first satellite city in Uganda, you're ready to do it with national housing. Run the next. We have land, 80 acres. Those of you who have been to Uganda, Lubowa, in a very prime location. This looks at about 1,500 units, and we're looking at about $150 million. If you have an investor interested in that scale of investment, we are ready to sign off with you, and we're independent, less bureaucracies, and the business starts running. Next. In the Reboa, and rather in the Naria area, just run to the next slide. The investment is over 16 acres. Take note, all these are freehold, and freehold is prime for those of you who are investing, especially if you are dealing with commercial real estate. We are talking about 502 units fully designed, all approvals done, and we are looking for financing, partner with whom we can deliver this real estate. And we need a budget of about $32 million. Next. We have the lakeside diaspora village at Luzira. Run to the next slide. This sits on 10 acres just next, overlooking the lake, near where the harbour is going to be constructed. And this, we're looking at about 600 units. I'm sure the diaspora community appreciate living next to the waters. And this is also on a freehold with the national housing. And we're looking at a budget of about $40 million. So in that scale of investment, this is extremely very prime, very attractive. Run to the next. In Bugorobi area, next to the apartments, those of you who know the geography of Bugorobi, you can see the dark shaded, the former or the current Bugorobi housing units. The red is the land that's available, 1 acre, very extremely, very prime, and we're looking at about $8 million worth of investment. Run to the next. In Bukoto, Bukoto is also extremely very prime location. If you know, as you go up Bukoto and you know Shell, KFC, now Shell and KFC lease from National Housing, and the brown and white apartments, a 1 acre where we think we can put a multi-usage commercial and residential mixed use. And I want to invite you, if you have $10 million plus, we can reorganize this, or we can invest better with you. Next. I talked about the slum redevelopment, and I want to present the opportunity, Right Honorable Prime Minister. This area is called Namungona, and if you've been to Namungona, look at the yellow line. That is the 150 acres under the ownership of National Housing. When you look at the little estate design in black, that's what is now available. A little bit looking up in the inset pictures. But we are inviting you that the opportunity is not the slum. The opportunity is the land in the CBD. 150 acres available with us, and you're looking at a budget of about $150 million. So we're really open to whoever is interested in looking at how we can improve the real estate environment in our country through tapping, using the land that is available, reaccommodate the slum dwellers, and this is going to be our homework, and then we see more optimal use of land. Run to the next. The other biggest slum in our country, which is the Chileka Estate, commonly known as Kasokoso. If you run to the next slide, now when you look at the pink line, this line here is the boundary for the land, which is the land that we own, and it is 292 acres. Now that's the opportunity that presents itself with us, and you're looking at a budget of about $300 million to deliver this right in the heart of the city. And what you need to note is that the standard gauge railway, if you see the green, and also the Jinja Expressway are all on the periphery of the land, and therefore these are already the services to the land, and we hope that if we can redeem this land together with you through this investment, it's a great opportunity for our country. Next. Now the summary of what I've said, if you go down, you'll find that this totals about 60,000 units overall just within these opportunities presented, and therefore looking at about $2 billion worth of investment. I don't know if this thing is still on. And so you're going to be seeing that most of the lands I've talked about are green spaces, green field, easy to develop, no encumbrance. If we sign the deal today, we are home and dry, and by next year, January, we are up and developing. Run to the next, and concluding. Now, what is it that we bring to you? We want to make commitments. One, that National Housing will be the special purpose vehicle for local content provision. And as a country, we have a policy that is buy Uganda, build Uganda. And real estate, you can only do it at home. Unfortunately, when we do it there, we cannot export it here. Unlike the Minister of Agriculture, who can produce and export, for us, we invite you to come and invest home. So we'll be the local vehicle that will run the errands when you partner with us. And what do we have? What do we offer? One, we shall facilitate investor entry into Uganda. I know our colleagues from Uganda Investment Authority are there, and the other agencies, Uganda Revenue Authority, but us as National Housing, where under our hand and signature we're able to facilitate this, we shall make space available. For those of you who are early runners, I want to mention at our Preston Towers property building, where National Housing sits, we shall offer you space as an entry. You don't have to struggle with space, and then as we structure the project. So once we provide the space, that's an opportunity for you not to struggle roaming the town, the city, the country. That's an entry point. We shall also give you technical expertise. As National Housing, we have quantity surveyors, we have borrowers, we have architects, we have engineers, we have fully constituted construction company, but also the development vehicle, the government development vehicle. So in labor as well, we shall help you to mobilize the labor for employment. Under number two, we want to guarantee land, as mentioned. Land should not be a nightmare. Right Honorable Prime Minister, like I've already highlighted, we have land waiting for partnerships and investments. And what do we guarantee under land? Throughout the country, we have presence in the countryside, in municipalities, in cities. We have prime properties. So depending on your area of interest, we'll work with you and identify that land and make sure it's available for your investment. Both green and brown fields. What additional shall we do? We shall do preliminary project services. Now, most of you are struggling through the design approvals within the local environment. So we hope that all those services, including documentation, studies, and market analysis, we shall support you, because we've been that vehicle for these years. And so we are the right partner to pitch with. Local authority approvals. Most of you struggle to get to work offices. The Kampala Capital City Authority, NEMA, you move to UAE, you move to Uganda Leadership Services Bureau. As a local vehicle, we shall do this for you. We want you to sail through and get the investment running. We shall guarantee services to the project. The moment we identify the location, one, water, power, road access, gas connectivity, all this will be done by National Housing. And this is going to be government, because National Housing is the development vehicle for government, because we are government owned. And so when we commit to this provision, you can be certain that this will be available the moment you partner with us. We want to undertake stakeholder management, working offices, approvals, meeting high authorities, that we shall be able to work with you through the lifetime of the project. Construction development. Given our capacity, we shall be partnering with you to make sure that the construction happens through our teams, joining hands with your teams, and that will facilitate faster growth and development. The sales and marketing, including operations and maintenance. We have a fully fledged marketing team, steward at the Preston Towers building, but also in the municipalities of our country. And so when these real estate are developed, the commercial real estate, the selling side of things, realizing your return, is going to be handled through partnership with us. We also be the off-taker or secure off-taking agreements. Under the terms and conditions that we shall agree with you, if you put up a scale of 1,000 units with us, then we shall guarantee of taking that scale, because then we are at the forefront of the sales. And we hope we can achieve this with you. We also shall take equity holding in the investment. The assumption that if we quantify what we bring on board, maybe it's 20% or 30%, we've come with your funds, 80%, we still shall carry this into the equity holding for the returns to happen. We shall secure the investment and guarantee return on the investment. Many of you have cried, and I'm happy the ministers are here. His Excellency the Ambassador is here, the Right Honorable Prime Minister is here. The commitment that when you invest, because housing is long term, you don't return in 2 years or 3 years. So then people have always wondered, Right Honorable Prime Minister, if I invest in Uganda and there's a change of government, for instance, or there's anything happening, should I lose my investment? And we're saying no, this should be guaranteed by government, depending on the scale and scope of investment. We undertake profit sharing. Yes, we are aware, UAE, some of your funds are available for profit sharing, and so we can undertake that. And we are ready to undertake collaborations, joint ventures, and partnerships. So we shall be that vehicle on our front. This is the commitment by National Housing, by government of Uganda, when you want to invest in the real estate and construction. Run to the last slide. What we expect from you as a partner, as an investor, as a developer, if you come to undertake real estate in our country. One, we want you to confirm the area of interest and nature of investment. We've mentioned earlier on in the commercial, in the industrial, in the institutional. In tourism, we've talked about tourism. We are ready to establish with you the tourism hotels throughout the country. We identify the land and others, and we make sure that happens. So once you point to us the nature and the direction of investment, we shall certainly be able to partner with you. We want you to provide adequate and flexible project financing. Now, we're talking about long term. On the upper scale, 10 years, and we also expect that we can have low interest funding because it's long term, so 0 to 4%. Those of you who have these funds, we are ready to sign off deals in agreements. We shall we expect you to provide alternative technology. We've been largely brick and mortar, and we are in love with it because it is available, the local material, the local resources. However, if we are going to establish mass housing for institutional establishment, those of you who propose alternative technology, we shall allow 1 to 4 years where you can import. Because you remember, we want to champion the boo-boo, buy Uganda, build Uganda. But because in the first 4 years you can import, but in the next, beyond 4 years, we expect that you'll have established a production line for mass production. So through that period of 1 to 4, we expect to see the production line established. We think we'll be doing skills training. We get the technology to be adopted through the importation. Under number 4, we expect you to undertake collaboration, joint ventures and partnerships with NHCC, that's the National Housing and Construction Company, for construction and development. The offers we've given are guaranteed within the ambit of national housing as a vehicle. And lastly, we of course expect you to participate in the sales, marketing and after sales services, because part of the market is in the diaspora and part of the market would be the investors coming, so we expect that that can happen with us. Right, Honorable Speaker, I think probably that's the last one. I therefore want to invite you through the numbers, through the statistics I've highlighted, through the land that is available. We can partner and restructure the designs that are available with us for optimal use. And I'm also hoping that in the next 2 or 3 days, we shall sign off the remaining agreements or deals if they are there. I beg to submit and close my submission.
Thank you very much, Engineer Kadaga.